I gained 500,000 followers on Instagram in less than 6 months last year, but nothing could have prepared me for what it was actually like. I couldn't leave my house without being mobbed by paparazzi. I had to start saying no to brand deals because my bank accounts were starting to get too full. And the number of times I stepped on a private jet to speak at conferences all over the world was just getting to me. I mean, even my parents got bored after I bought them their 3rd mansion, and my fiance was running out of closet space for all the designer bags that I was buying her. Okay, obviously I'm kidding. None of that actually happened. I did grow a huge Instagram page in a very short period of time, but that's the only truthful part of that story that I just told you. My life stayed pretty much exactly the same, except for a few key observations that I made that I'd like to go over with you in this video. I feel like going viral and getting all of the followers is such a sought after thing today, but in doing it myself, it's clarified what's actually important when building an audience. In this video, I want to go over 5 things that I noticed a year after going viral on Instagram that are now shaping how I interact with the platform moving forward. This is what no one tells you about going viral on Instagram. Since the dawn of time, or I guess since the cephalopods in Silicon Valley realized they can cash in on the biological vulnerability at the bottom of our brainstem, social media platforms have always been a dice roll. Every time you open your favorite app or scroll down your favorite feed, there's always a chance you'll see something that'll light up the pleasure centers in your brain. Each time you post something on your story or your feed, there's always the possibility that you'll have more likes and more comments or more DMs. Sometimes there's none and other times there's a bunch. Either way, the whole point of social media platforms is to train you to always be thinking about that dice roll possibility that other people are thinking about you, or in more primal terms, that people care about your presence in a community. From the perspective of a creator, those dice rolls multiply by 10, especially when the almighty algorithm selects one of your videos to catapult in front of millions of eyes. Now, I'm not saying that every creator who's worked hard to build a wide audience on social media got lucky. By no means am I disparaging the hard work that goes into some truly amazing videos and some truly amazing creators. But I am saying that everything is easier when luck is involved. Luck is precisely what makes social media such a powerful and such an addictive thing. Because the chances of your video reaching an exponentially wide audience are so slim, it makes it that much more exciting when it does. I remember exactly what that feeling was like almost a year and a half ago. I posted an older video to my feed with no more than 3,000 followers at the time, and by the time I got off a 2-hour plane ride, that video had over 400,000 views and I was up several thousand followers. 12 hours later, I had over 10,000 followers, and a day after that, I was over 18,000. Quickly, I made another video and it took off as well. I had reached internet royalty in my head. I was unstoppable. Clad with luck and a huge ego, I began posting daily. For the next 6 months, at a minimum, I was gaining anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 followers per day. And in that time, I did 3 brand deals, each of which were at least 5 figures, and at least 2 people recognized me in real life from the internet. I thought I was set. My future was locked in as an influencer. What I wasn't prepared for was when the luck ran out. On March 6, 2023, Instagram went down for what seemed like a routine outage. But when it all got back online, it was like the algorithm had forgotten about me. Videos I posted would fall flat on their face, and I began to get privy to the fact that maybe I wasn't all that I was cracked up to be. But it wasn't until I actually started losing followers every day that I started to critically reflect on what I went through. Why did I get the reach that I did? Why wasn't I growing at the rate that I was before? All of my questions and more were answered when I saw this video.
I think in the future, historians will regard this period of time that we're living in now as a very bizarre time in history. The major part of that, I think, is this casual miracles that exist around us, but still don't seem to impact our lives very much. On this account, I've got almost 100,000 followers. I think I'm almost at 75K. And that's really cool. That's a lot of people. I sometimes get recognized in real life. That's an opportunity in which the simulation of fame that comes from this app translates into real life. You're not actually famous. You just have the simulation of fame.
So I'm really glad that I came across this video by Brandon because there are 3 really striking things about all the points that this video brings up. Number 1, internet wealth rarely translates into real life, tangible, measurable wealth for the average person today. This is because of the sheer volume of videos per day, per hour even, that are catapulted into this simulated stardom that everyone's after. Number 2, it's all a simulation. Without sounding too much like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat, the misalignment of high numbers and virality online is often not an accurate reflection of what's really going on. I can distinctly remember pulling to refresh my notifications every few seconds when I was being highly prioritized by the algorithm and having hundreds of new notifications. If in real life I were to blink and have 150 new people staring at me every single time, I'd probably need a change of pants. But it's the conflation of these 2 worlds that creates the empty promise of importance in a creator's mind. And lastly, number 3, it's unbelievable that you can have this many eyeballs on you at once. Back up just about 15 years and this whole viral sensation concept wasn't even a thing.
As an example, I made a TikTok 2 weeks ago that got a bunch of attention. It was about 250,000 views. And that was more people than have ever heard Henry VIII talk, King of England. 250,000 people never heard his voice in his entire life. And more people have heard mine. That's really weird.
And if you think about how human beings existed for the last 10,000 years, never has there ever been an opportunity to be heard or seen by millions of people in one moment and then all alone in the next. Something else that nobody told me about going mega viral overnight is that oftentimes, especially on short form platforms, the amount of people who actually care deeply about what you have to say or share is astronomically lower than you might think. And to be clear, I'm not saying that I don't care about the audience I've built or that I think that they don't care about me. What I am saying is that there's probably fewer people that I think care about me in a deeply personal way. I want to bring up this example from Jay Alto where he talks about a TikToker who announced a meetup for her fans at VidCon that nobody actually showed up to.
The internet is very good at creating this illusion of success. Most people see big numbers and assume things are going well. But the thing is, not all subscribers are equal, not all followers are equal, not all views are equal. Swinging it back to YouTube, there are a lot of channels with millions of subscribers that could disappear and no one would notice. And I don't think that's success.
1.6 million followers, and not one person showed up. At one of the biggest creator conventions, VidCon, there possibly is. Jay makes a great point in his video, which I highly recommend you to watch if you have the time, that a big place that short form and long form platforms differ is their ability to help cultivate diehard fans. Fans that will show up to meet and greets, fans that will care deeply about you and even buy things from you. YouTube has obviously been around since the dawn of time, and comparatively in the creator space, it's also established itself as the place you can go as an aspiring creator to have your voice heard in the context of longer form content. More importantly, I think YouTube was birthed in 2005, right before the 2007 unveiling of the mobile computer, the smartphone, and even more importantly, before attention became the most valuable commodity. Fast forward to places like Instagram and TikTok, which are social networking sites that prioritize the farming of people's attention over building audiences that deeply care. And you've got a recipe for the thing that actually takes away from a creator's ability to develop a deep connection with an audience in the first place. Passive consumption. Let's be honest, you probably scroll through your phone in one of these 3 places. Your bed, when you're avoiding eye contact, or when you're sitting on this thing. Where YouTube takes a more intentional approach and encourages its watchers to truly tune into their favorite creators, short form platforms are typically accessed when a person is avoiding something, be it sleep, real human emotions, or wiping. It's this passivity of consuming short video after short video that doesn't allow for any sort of relationship between viewer and creator to form. Couple that passivity with a creator, me, believing that going viral means they're actually forming a deep relationship with an audience, and you've got a recipe for the most unsustainable thing someone can do. At a certain point, it becomes like feeling as though you're giving a TED Talk in front of millions when in reality, you're just screaming into a black hole. That's why when the proverbial tap turns off and the algorithm spits you out of the East Australian current of virality, you feel so lost. For me, it's been literally a year of feeling this. Literally a year of losing followers, not having every video get the reach that I once experienced, and feeling like I'm actually on the wrong path. But through these reflections and through thinking deeply about what it is that I'm doing or trying to do, and ultimately how these short form sites affect creators and viewers, I found a version of what I think truly matters when it comes to communicating online. It's something that I've touched on throughout this entire video, and something that I think is quite a hard pill to swallow for some, especially myself. Just because you write the perfect hook doesn't mean your video will go viral. Just because you structure a story in just the right way doesn't mean people will watch it all the way through. And just because you get hundreds of thousands of followers doesn't mean they're actually going to be there for you in a meaningful way. In fact, thinking that short form platforms will give you anything other than a superiority complex every 3 to 6 months is flawed thinking. They only want you to keep making content because it keeps people glued to these life-sucking devices. You're not entitled to views, followers, money, or anything online. And as pessimistic as that might sound, you are entitled to something else. It's not as cool or as sexy as a verified badge on your page or brand deals throwing you mountains of cash to show products to your audience. It's opportunity. If you have a phone, you have the same amount of opportunity as the next person to tell a compelling story that helps someone else. It doesn't matter what it's about: woodworking, race car driving, or cooking. We all have the same chance to share information for no other reason than to be of service to those around us. There's this concept of more, like more money, more followers, more views, more likes, more money, and it's so ingrained in us because it's all we see all day, every day. But if more is all we know, then the concept of enough becomes either nullified or forgotten about. Creating from a selfless place rather than a selfish one is the only way forward, which is something that I'm trying to do more and more of every single day. So whether or not you create content online or you just love watching it, one thing's for certain: going viral is an incredibly unnatural and oftentimes uncomfortable thing for the human species to comprehend and deal with. But sometimes the recognition of that fact is just enough. And I'm by no means perfect, and sometimes I will slip back into thinking that I need to grow and get a lot of views to be successful. But I'm at least doing my best to create from a place of honesty, selflessness, and a genuine passion for what I do. And I hope you'll do the same with me. If you resonated just a little bit with anything I said in this video, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Here's a video that YouTube thinks you'll like next. And with that, thanks for watching. I hope this helped. And remember, keep scrolling mindfully.